What does it take to create a soldier? To mold an individual person with their own hopes and dreams into a weapon. A tool which, in the right hands, can carve an indelible mark into the pages of history and spread our ideals across the galaxy. Well, if we want an effective tool, first we need a seasoned blacksmith, and that is where you come in. Welcome, citizen, to the Ministry of Truth. I'm Chief Truth Officer Ryan Ligma, and before you join our ranks as the next great Helldiver Marketing Manager, I'm going to give you a quick rundown on why your job is the most important one on the battlefield. The Ministry of Truth is a truly timeless organization, helping leaders throughout history to maintain their ranks and recruit only the best and brightest. We've come a long way from the medieval methods of doling out land to peasants in exchange for their military service, and we've learned a lot about how to maintain the image of our military apparatus. Our job is to recruit Helldivers, to find men and women brave and patriotic enough to dive into the fray and plant the flag of Super Earth into the bodies of our enemies. How do we go about filling our ranks with democracy-loving, prideful heroes then? Well, that depends on a little something called leverage. If the population is demoralized, distrusting of their leaders, and unconvinced by our messaging, then there's not much leverage there to get bodies into the recruitment offices. In this unlikely scenario, we might be forced to resort to conscription, pulling some names from a lottery and shipping them off to boot camp. But don't worry, your family's name will never show up in that lottery. Just remember, having to resort to conscription means that we failed at our job first and foremost. Now let's find out how we keep our Helldivers and our citizens at home invested in the war effort. As our friends in the advertising industry would say, we first need to find the pain points of our target market. What motivates the youth in our time and place? What rouses them for a fight? Is it a love of king and country, promoting and embodying the ideals of their upbringing? Is it fear and loathing of an other, a base desire to destroy perceived threats? Or do the teenagers and young adults of your culture simply want to find a way to impress some hot psyop e-girls? Once you've figured out what motivates your future soldiers, now's the time to work on your targeted marketing. The traditional method of posters and parades are still useful and effective to some extent, but modern citizens tend to respond best to modern mediums. Film and television allow for the crafting of fictional characters who fit the Helldiver archetype. Brave and fearless soldiers like Rambo or Chris Kyle. Unfortunately, there is a decent chance that the artists and socialists of Hollywood will try to take the funding and equipment we share with them and then use it to create traitorous anti-war propaganda like this. We must always be vigilant when seeking outside help to craft our messaging. Video games are a generally safer medium for targeted messaging. Almost all of the most popular games involve using military hardware to shoot things, explode things, etc. There are some developers who still attempt to inject their pacifist values into these murder simulators, so caution is still advised. With social media though, spreading the good word is easier than ever. TikTok, Instagram, Truth Social, All of these platforms allow the Ministry of Truth to curate and target our content with laser-guided precision. Without having to worry about anyone's artistic vision or deeply held morals, social media is the most powerful weapon we have against the peace-loving hordes. So patience and sensitivity is required when determining your outreach strategy, or else you might end up making a blunder like this. Now that our barracks are bursting at the seams with bright-eyed and bushy-tailed recruits, how are we going to keep the ministry's message embedded deep in their skulls, at least until a bullet or a bite knocks it out of the way? And don't forget, we have to keep the civilian rabble back home satisfied too. This stage in the campaign is all about controlling the narrative. We were a bit more fast and loose with the rules back in Vietnam, and made the entirely ignorant mistake of allowing photographers and film crews to tag along with our soldiers while they napalmed civilians and massacred entire villages, which did not help our image back home. We learned a valuable lesson though, and when we decided to invade Iraq for completely valid reasons, we of course had to make the brave decision prohibiting photographs of the coffins of US troops returning home and refusing as a matter of policy to keep track of the number of Iraqis who had been killed. And we certainly aren't going to be caught dead at a soldier's funeral. Now, before you get upset and run out to join the traitorous swine protesting in the streets, you should remember that our methods have been quite effective. Our ranks have swelled. Patriotism courses through the educators and politicians back home. The enemy is in full retreat. And we've been able to shell out for some bonuses at the office too. Even the ministry has been surprised by the enthusiasm shown by both Helldivers and citizens over the past couple months. This wholehearted embrace of our message, from the front line to the home front, is the goal that our administration is always striving toward. To have such incredible drive for this war, to have citizens and soldiers spreading our message right when we need them to, it's almost enough to make a man shed a liber tear. Our job can be difficult, heartbreaking even. Convincing a husband to leave his wife, a mother to leave her children, a child to leave the only home they've ever known and travel to some distant rock overflowing with death. It can take hours of research, finding the right words and images to show, the proper cultural and political avenues to use, in service of creating something greater than any one person could do alone. An army, a tool, built to extract the resources abroad that fuel our comfortable lives at home. Democracy at work. And there you have it, citizen. You've taken your first step in the incredibly rewarding and complex path of military public relations. You'll serve as the true backbone of Super Earth, defending against enemies at home and abroad. Go out there and spread the truth. Our way of life depends on it. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe to show your patriotism, and consider contributing to my Patreon to fund the war effort. See you on the next one.